this comes. Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Awakened Soul Stories. Today, I have a very special guest. His name is Neal Bogosian, and Neal is a holistic therapist, an author, and an educator. Neal and I don't really know each other, just from a couple of conversations that we had, including today, before this interview. And we touched on about, 50 subjects right away.
That's true. I was going to say, you say we don't know each other. You never know.
Maybe not in this place.
We might. Subconsciously, we might.
Right. So we run in, we kind of run in the same circles, and we have a mutual friend, Elaine DeJoy. She owns Awaken Your Health Naturally. And she's been on my podcast before as well. So
wonderful therapist she is.
Yes. She strongly suggested that Neal and I get together and do this interview. So I'm really excited about speaking with him. And I hope all of you enjoy this as much as I know I'm going to. So here it is, Neal. So Neal, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, sure. So, I just want to start out by asking you to tell us a little bit about yourself. I don't know if we have enough time for that, but I'm going to give you the whole floor.
Well, you said it earlier. I'm a bit of a Renaissance man. I have many interests. I've had my own holistic healing practice since about 2010. I'm also an author. I'm the author of about 3 books. And I'm a special education teacher. So I care about people. I try and help people whenever I can. We're living in amazing times right now, times that have simply never occurred in modern human history. And I think a lot of people need to really grasp that fact that what we're seeing today unfold in our world spanning the last 3 years has simply never happened before. Perhaps with some of the same figures, if you believe in bloodlines, but spiritually, it's an opportunity to get closer to ourselves more so than ever. So I wrote my first book on healing, Profiles of an Energy Healer, The Age of Healing, in which I recounted a bunch of sessions that I had with real clients in order to try and explain to people and bring it to the masses that, hey, there are other forms of feeling better. There are other forms of healing. It's not just Western medicine. There's more. There's more to us. And I've always believed also, one of the reasons why I got into holistic healing is because I believe we're so much more than what we've been taught and told in school. The measure of human capacity is still unmeasured, unreached, and untapped. So the one thing that I would want to share with people today is that there's an opportunity right now to understand the things that we've been told by society, quote unquote, are not of us. Our truths are within us. And I think that as a litmus test, many people need to start to ask themselves, is the body of knowledge that I have, that I call my own, is it the result of my own critical thinking, or is it based on what someone has told me to think, or told me to believe, or told me was the truth, and I just readily accepted it? Back in World Wars I and II, people didn't have alternative venues to research and find the truth. They had to accept automatically whatever the mainstream media back then told them. And usually it was just 1 or 2 channels, or it was passed down hearsay. And that's why people would hear about yarns being woven, which were just tales that were maybe based on an old truth. Right. So now, however, we're living in a time where people actually have the opportunity to reclaim their power. We keep giving it away to others, letting others think for us, letting the news tell us. letting mainstream media tell us, even mainstream magazines and mainstream movies, that is shaping our like simulated reality, is becoming a simulated reality. And technology is replacing people's own thinking. And we have to be very careful because it's very dangerous. If we give up that energy, and it is energy, everything's energy. If we give up that energy, that most precious part of us, thinking for ourselves, critical thinking, going within for our truth, if we give that up, we lose our humanity. Mm-hmm. And that's what the whole metaverse is all about. And it's very dangerous. Evil is very real. And right now, its voice box is technology. Evil's voice box is technology. So people are very addicted to their phones. Kids are very addicted to their phones. I'm noticing more and more people start to lose their ability to pick up social cues. Someone walks into the room, there's no eye contact anymore. There's no, hi, how are you? There's no interpersonal contact or communication. And believe it or not, as I'm sure you'll agree, the masks made that worse. Mm-hmm. People spoke less. They interacted less. It was very dangerous. The masks dehumanized us. We were put on this planet, I believe, needing nothing. We can grow food. We can grow our own medicine through food. Granted, there's a place for Western medicine, absolutely. When you need a surgery, you need a surgery. But it's also, Western medicine, factually, is the third leading cause of death in America. So, you know, I got into holistic therapy because I just knew that we were capable of more. And I wanted to start to investigate that. And it just sent me down a rabbit hole that has been absolutely wonderful. I believe in people. I believe in the capacity that we have to be great and wonderful on our own accord. And I just think that if we as a populace come together more, we're going to realize the power that we have. Because again, everything's energy. Our thoughts are energy. Love is energy. It's a frequency. You look at somebody as a test, you look at somebody, and if you were to say, I hate you, they would immediately shrivel up. Their energy goes within. You tell somebody, I love you, immediately it opens everything up. It even opens up the air, the molecules. There's been tests done on water and words. So we have to be aware of what we think. We have to be aware of how we interact with each other. Understand that the innate aspects that make us human make us beautiful. We're very fragile, but in that fragility is beauty. And the division needs to stop, because we're listening, people are listening as a collective. I'm going to say we, because we're all part of this one big human society. Yes, we keep listening to mainstream media, and no one's asking questions. Why are they telling me this now when this is happening over here? Why are they telling me to do that now when that just happened, but they're not reporting that? Why aren't they reporting that? It's because they're trying to train us to think the way they want us to think.
And keep us in fear.
To keep us in fear. They have weaponized fear. That's right. And when you weaponize fear, when you keep us in a perpetual state of fear, the very cells of our body start to become restricted. Every human cell gives off approximately 0.07 kilowatts, I think it is. So every single cell in our body is an energy dynamo. And when you put everything together, it's amazing. It's amazing. There was the guy that was in the movie The Secret. I forgot his name.
Rob Morgan?
No, he was one of the main guys with the Secret. I totally forgot his name. But he said we have enough energy in our bodies to power a city. He's right. People don't realize how much energy we have in our bodies. You walk out of your house one day, you go to your car door, and you shock yourself opening the door. That is the energy running through the earth, running through us, because we are a conductor of energy. You haven't seen a friend for a while. You start thinking about that friend. All of a sudden, that friend calls you. What's the first thing you say? I was just thinking about you, because our thoughts are energy. That's how powerful we are. So during COVID, everybody was in fear. We're wearing masks. We're being separated. What was that doing to our humanity, to our energy, to our innate gifts? It was squelching them. It was keeping them down. It was suppressing them. And kids in schools, it broke my heart, suffered it the worst.
Sure.
Recently, last spring, I viewed some senior projects, students. Every single one mentioned the harm or the grief or the heartache that they experienced from the lockdowns. It was very sad. So we have to ask ourselves, at what cost?
Right.
You know, and people, I think, if they're shown the truth, they have to, with discernment, then ask themselves what resonates with them, you know, because as you and I know, even if you show people the truth, sometimes they still might go the other way because they may not be ready for it. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That is perfectly okay. We are all on our own journey. Some people are ready to hear things and learn things quicker than others. And that is perfectly okay. What I always say to my clients, it's what works for you. It's what works for you right now, today, in this moment. Don't beat yourself up. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't be negative. Don't have any negative dialogue. And if you do, turn it inside out and make it positive. So, and I really do earnestly believe we have greatness in all of us. And I don't mean greatness as in going out there and, I don't know, winning a race or playing baseball and hitting a home run. I'm not talking about that. Within us, we have greatness. We can think great things, love greatly, give greatly to each other, and be at peace and harmony. But when you have ulterior forces trying to come in and throw wrenches and sift and divide our collective unity, that's when that gets broken up, because people will listen to it. Holistically, when I'm working on clients, every single individual on my table has a different experience. I have never experienced any two people that have the same experience. And it's beautiful, because that's how dynamic we all are. That's how amazing we all are. So if you take all of us, like they did during COVID and like they do every day in the news, and just lump us all into the same category, we're all this. Okay, I want you all to think this and be fearful of A, B, C, and D. That's not who we are. We're not a cookie cutter. Mm-hmm. Every single one of us has dynamic, beautiful, and individual energy, has an individual story, has an individual soul story. And I believe in past lives. I don't know about you.
I do, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've had too many experiences with clients to not believe in it. I'd be foolish.
Yeah, right.
So,
right. And the dreams that we have, right?
Yes, yes.
I don't know about that.
We're talking about the dream thing, and that's funny because part of what I do is teach people how to interact in their dream state.
Oh, really?
Yes, because they can participate, because it's actually...
It is, absolutely. I have participated in some.
Yes.
Others I've been able to, I've tried to practice it. Just leaving, because we leave our bodies every night.
Yes, we do.
When we sleep. People don't realize that, our nervous systems are completely recharged, regenerated when we sleep. It's very, very important. And we go all over the place. So I know that I've been to places that I don't recognize. I don't recognize the people or anybody in it. And I'm thinking that was either a past life or I'm simultaneously living somewhere else in some other dimension. My essence is somewhere else, because that's how powerful we are. Again, right. We are omnipresent sometimes. We're omniscient, so
That's
fun.
we were talking about energy and part of the things that I do and what you do is about, and we talked about this the other day, is about bringing this awareness to people about this other, about the humanness of us, and the spiritual aspect of us and the energetic energetic aspect of us, because this isn't anything that we're ever taught. It's not something that the medical community is ever taught, that we can use our own energy to heal ourselves.
Exactly.
So I think that's a pretty broad subject, but in this day and age, it's so important. If I had to, redo everything, that would definitely be part of the medical community learning, is all of that, because, if you can heal yourself in different ways through food or energy work, or even changing your mindset,
Yeah.
the mindset is super important, because I know we had talked about the power of words a little bit, and so I want you to talk about that a little and how important that is in the healing process, amongst other things.
Absolutely. So I'll start by I can start to discuss that by talking about a hypothetical. If a client walked into me and they were beating themselves up psychologically, and they were saying, oh, I'm always getting hurt, I have bad luck, it's just my life, it's just the way things are, things aren't good at home, I'm constantly being yelled at. So right from the get-go, it's just one negative hit after another. And this is why it's also important for people who do experience domestic abuse too, because they lose their self-esteem, they lose their self-worth. That's an energy frequency that is just going down and down and down and down. As hard as it is, because it is hard when you first start it, as hard as it is, we can begin to reverse all those trends. And it starts with one positive thought.
Yeah, immediately,
exactly. What people in general don't realize is that a positive thought is thousands, not hundreds, thousands of times more powerful than a negative thought. Thousands. I'm going to ask all of your listeners, you walk into a crowded room and there's laughter and there's happiness and there's interpersonal contact of greeting and handshaking and hugging. Hey, how are you? How's everything going? So happy to see you. That room is going to be buzzing with great energy.
yes.
That room is a room you want to stay in. You're going to not want to leave. It's beautiful. Conversely, you walk into a room and there's 3 or 4 people there who are Debbie Downers and they're extremely negative. You're going to feel that energy. You're not going to want to stay there. It's like sitting down with a car salesman who is out to swindle you or deceive you, or any other salesman, if they're out to swindle you or deceive you. If your antennas are up, if your spiritual antennas are up, if your intuitive antennas are up, you're not going to want to do business with them. But guess what? If you pay attention to their words, you're going to also know that you are not going to want to do business with them. They will be a dead giveaway, because they're going to say some key words to you that if you listen to yourself, and this is why I said earlier, go within and realize your own power. It's going to hit you right here. Like, something's not right. Something's not right. I'm going to get up and leave. It's like for a guy or a girl, if you want to, if somebody walks up to you and asks you out on a date, if you get a strange ping in your gut, like, I don't even want to be near this person, you need to listen to that and run. It's the same principle, but it begins with words. So if someone comes in and they're on a downward spiral psychologically, you need to reverse course and turn that negativity inside out, no matter how hard it is, and turn it positive. And sometimes, if it's really bad, I will say to my clients, before you go to bed tonight, I want you to say this mantra. I am whole, perfect, strong, and powerful. I am whole, perfect, strong, and powerful. Feel the energy of the words. I also advise people, if they're feeling angry or if they're having road rage or something like that, just start saying love, 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 love. Just don't even stop. Watch what happens. You still might be angry, but it's going to be less.
Right.
And before you go to bed at night, if you say tomorrow's going to be a great day, watch the energy of that phrase alone. And you wake up in the morning and you say, today is going to be a great day. Watch the energy of the words alone and what they do to your day. You may still get bumps, but the bumps will be less. And you'll be able to absorb them better because your mindset is slowly changing. So if we were to do this collectively, Lynn McTaggart, have you heard of her?
Yes.
Lynn McTaggart did an experiment, and it was a thought experiment. And I forgot what the specifics of it were, but she got a group of people and she said, okay, we're going to think on the same thing. And I want to try and have an impact from our thoughts alone to cause a change. And it worked. In the days immediately after 9/11, there was a test done on Earth. They were testing the electromagnetic field on Earth. There was such a state of mourning and sadness on Earth that all of the meters were down low because our emotions, our energies, our frequencies were low. We're depressed. That again is how powerful we are. So just, those are a couple of things that people can do. Turn their dialogue, their inner dialogue needs to be turned inside out. And in our society, we'll say things without even realizing it. Like, oh, I'm just not a good driver. Or, yeah, I never win, things like that. Or, I'll never get into that school. Stop it. Don't say never. Turn it inside out and say, you know what? It's going to be that or something better. If I'm not meant to go in that direction, I'm going to go in a better one. If I can't do that, I'm going to do something more. Turn it inside out.
Right.
And I mentioned to you earlier the word cancer. Drives me crazy. So many people have suffered from this awful, awful disease. But what's curious is I'll see it on billboards. I'll see it on ribbons. I'll see bike for cancer, run for cancer, dance for cancer. Everything's for cancer. It's a word that terrifies people, and yet we still keep using it. Turn it around and say, how about we run for health, bike for health, dance for health? People are going to feel better. It's not, we should not be fixated on a disease. Yes, a cure, sure, but we should not be fixated on the negatives that are going to bring down our system. Immediately when somebody hears the word cancer, it's not good. If it's either neutral or negative. It's never positive. So turn it into something positive. The collective we see on TV, drug ads, all drug ads. They took off the alcohol. There's no more alcohol ads. We see drug ads. And then we also see, I know that on a lot of the mainstream channels, sponsored by a pharmaceutical company, sponsored by another pharmaceutical company. This show sponsored by another pharmaceutical company. I recently watched this game show from 1961. It was called To Tell the Truth, just because I was fascinated with it. I just love old stuff. You know what that was sponsored by? Dristan. Remember Dristan?
Me too.
I'm thinking, oh my God, back in 1961, this is happening. They were already starting.
Yeah.
And then I think it was there was another aspirin like drug.
St. Joseph's aspirin?
Nope, nope, but it was an older one. Anison. Remember Anison?
Yes, I do.
Exactly. Do you know they made the claim in 1961 or 61 or 65, that show was? They made the claim on TV, this will heal your pain and your depression.
In your depression.
Yeah. So this was starting back then. So when you start to get tuned into the dialogue of what we're constantly being bombarded with, what we're constantly being told, you're going to catch on real fast which way they want you to think. Don't do it. Stop it. Don't even listen to the side effects, the litany of side effects. It's usually like a book long. They have to like zip right through them for all of those drug ads. It'll help with one thing, and then it might give you 7 others.
Right.
So don't even listen to those, just hearing it, right? There's been a certain thing that a lot of people have gotten that has created a lot of side effects.
Mm-hmm.
What I noticed was that suddenly the drug ads that are on TV addressed all those side effects.
Of course.
So there's one for the heart and one for strokes and
Blood clots.
It's just on and on. I said, boy, that's really curious. So now you guys are making money off the side effects. That's really interesting, And I'm only going down this road because I want your listeners just to start to consider and start to think.
Pay attention.
The dialogue that is being absorbed constantly by us all the time on the radio, on TV, on cell phones, through the advertisements. It's all the way they want us to be programmed. I say they generically, the way they want us to be programmed. And I'm telling you that you're more powerful than that. You're more than that. Don't give up your own critical thinking. Don't give up your ability to heal yourself and take control of your own health and reverse things. Don't ever give up hope, because there's tons of it. I believe we birth our next lives by our actions in this one. There was also a quote in the movie Gladiator, and I love it. It says, Russell Crowe's character said, our actions, what we do here echoes in eternity. And that's for a large part true, especially when you start to talk about karma.
Right.
Karma is real.
Yes, it is.
What comes around goes around. What is karma? It's energy. It's putting something in motion. Something comforting for the people at home too that will listen to this is that the cells in our body every 6 months or so begin to regenerate. So every year, physically, we're not who we were a year ago. Brand new slate. That's how amazing our bodies are. Every organ in our body has its own dialogue. So it's energy. Nikola Tesla said frequency is one of the keys to the universe, along with the numbers 3, 6, and 9. It's because every single organ has a frequency. So in energy healing, I am simply the conduit, the middleman between my client's intention and energy and your optimum self. And I'm facilitating that healing, trying to raise the frequency of the area or areas of issue. It's helping you to heal yourselves.
Right.
And back in the 70s, what I do is I'm certified in quantum touch. Back in the 70s, that was called the laying on of hands to heal. Mm-hmm. Because people realized that, oh my God, we're giving off some amazing energy healing energy and comforting energy. And people coming back from the Vietnam War were very comforted by the laying on of hands by those practitioners who knew how to do it. And if you combine intention, thought energy, with the resonant energies through our bodies, you begin to heal the client. You begin to raise the frequency and the energy levels of the clients. If they're believers of thought energy and energy healing themselves, and they meet you in the middle, it's even more amazing.
Yes, it is.
One of the most amazing experiences I had that I detail in my book, I had a mother-daughter come in. I had worked on the daughter, and she thought it would be good for her mom. Well, her mom had experienced shock treatments and had been through hell and back. And the daughter is in the room. I'm working on the mom. The daughter had shared with me before we started that her mother was very nasty to her when she was a child, very nasty. So, and she still felt that. And she carried it with her. So as I'm working on the mom, I suddenly go back in time. In my mind, I'm going back in time. I want to try and go all the way back to where this started.
Mhm.
The child sitting in the chair, I'm working on her, the parent, and all of a sudden, I see the child go like this, and I look, and she just didn't say anything to me at first until I was done. At that time, I was in my mind imagining the parent working with that child and smiling, not being cruel, being loving, replacing the bitterness with love, because we can reshape, we can shape shift memories. That's already been proven. But to go back and take away that energetic blockage that is causing harm and distress to the child in present day, I wasn't sure if I could do it, but after the session was over, the child looked at me and said, "You were working on her," and all of a sudden I felt this thing just like lift off of me. It felt like a web. I said, "Well, at that time, I was going back in time and reimagining everything that you told me had happened, trying to undo it." And what's interesting about that is this: there's basis for that. Shamans do that. The ancient shamans, the old shamans, would shapeshift memories. I have another client. I told them about redoing injuries as soon as they happen. So I said, yeah, I said, the ancient shamans did it all the time. If say if you're slicing an orange or something and you slice your hand, you immediately repeat the action without going into your skin, and you say, no, that did not just happen, that did not just happen, that did not just happen. And it's like hacking energy. It's hacking vibrating matter. It's hacking your mind and saying, no, that did not just happen. Well, I share that with him just as like a side, because he's a good friend of mine. He calls me up out of the blue like 3 months later. "Neal, yeah, I'm going to send you a picture of my thumb. Tell me what you see." I said, all right. He sends me. I said, "Looks like a fine thumb. It's good. It looks really good." He says, "You're not going to believe this." I said, "What?" He said, "You don't see any marks or anything. You don't see any cuts or blood, right?" I said, "No." He said, "I did what you said. I swear." He said, "You know what? It takes a lot to shock me." He said, "You just shocked me." He said, "I was cutting some fruit and I drove that knife right into my thumb and there was freaking blood everywhere." He said, "I did exactly what you said. I brought the knife down to the point, but I didn't let it go in." And I said, "No, that did not just happen. It's gone. It did not just happen. That did not just happen." And he said, "It's gone." I said, good job. It works, right? Now there's even further basis for that. Gregory Braden discusses, and it's a widely viewed video. There was a holistic clinic in China, which not surprisingly has since been shut down.
Mhm.
There was a woman with a cancerous tumor, and they put it on the scanner, like an ultrasound. And this thing was huge. And you had, I think, 3 or 4 practitioners, and they were saying something in Chinese, and they had their hands over this woman. Beside that ultrasound, they had hold on. They had a photo of the ultrasound of the tumor, and then they had a live feed of it. Okay, so you saw this tumor as they were chanting and running energy into this woman. This tumor is shrinking smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and it was gone, and it was live. We can shapeshift these things. It's because everything is vibrating matter. Everything is frequency. And the phrase that these Chinese practitioners were saying was something to the effect of, it is gone, it is gone, it is gone, it is gone, it is gone. You can take heartache and come up with your own mantra and say something like, I take the pain from my heart and I put it in my mind. I take the pain from my heart, I put it in my mind, and I release. You can expound upon it. You can play with it and have and see what works for you.
Right.
Your heartache will be less. Will it be gone? Maybe, maybe not. Like I said, every person's different. It also depends on the severity of the pain. Okay. So it's not like a one-trick pony. But these are things that you can begin to experiment with. And I believe that we can begin to feel better now. We can feel better in that moment. We don't have to endure pain in every single moment. One of the exceptions is, of course, when you lose a loved one. Nothing can replace that.
Right. True.
There's no trick there. It's love. It's because there's now a separation. They're no longer on this plane with us. I still would caution, words are going to sink you into depression more. Stay away from substances, alcohol, drugs, stay away from them. It's only going to make things worse.
Negative people.
Negative people, 100%. That's interesting you say that. That's a great vein to go down too, because as I'm sure you'll agree, there are a lot of heathens out there. Sometimes, and I have some friends who have shared this with me, they have people in their lives, they're feeling great one day, they'll get together with them and they'll leave feeling awful.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons for that, well, it's I'll say twofold. One of the reasons for that is because they want your energy. It's like it's subconscious.
Psychic vampires. That's what we call
Yes,
it.
it's like the incubus and the succubus, right?
Yeah.
So they're like latch onto you. So you may be asking, well, but they're sitting across from me. They're just talking to me, but it's just like being near brings me down. No, it's even more than that, because our energetic fields can extend 8 feet out, sometimes longer.
Right.
They're called psychological barbs, psychic barbs that will stick in your energy field. I was at a job for a while, and I would go to work feeling great. I'd leave work, I'd feel drained as all hell. Well, the morale in that building was low. The confidence level in that building was low. People were in fear because something was going down from management and administration, where they were starting to come down on the workers. Workers were crying in the hallways. It was a very depressed and sad environment. Guess what? Those energetic barbs stuck to my energy field. So I'm going to give you a little trick for people at home to do. As soon as you leave someone like that, when you're cleaning your house, you clean for cobwebs, right? You simply, with intention, sweep, dust off, take off the cobwebs with intention. I release these cobwebs, this dark matter. You shake your hands out, get rid of it. After every energy session, I'll shake my hands. They're actually teeming with energy.
Yeah.
And sometimes my fingers are so thick just from the energy. So I have to shake them out.
Yeah.
So
hug a tree.
yeah, hug a tree. Exactly. Exactly.
Works.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to share this story with you real quick because,
Please.
so I do integrative energy therapy.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard of it. And I really like it a lot. I've kind of tweaked it to my own vibration, let's just say. And I had this client a while ago who came to me and she had stage 4 cancer and couldn't figure out, she was seeing all kinds of holistic practitioners and her doctors, getting chemotherapy. I don't know if she was on radiation at that point, but there was just a lot going on. And, when I saw her, she was optimistically depressed. Let's just put it that way. Okay. Trying to be positive, but there was that side of it. And, I put her on my table and I did a whole session with her. And how I see energy that's like nasty, it is like the old 8-ball. It looks like that, but it's a big black sticky ball of goo. And, it bounces around. It causes disease in your body until it actually causes disease in your body.
Absolutely. Yes.
And this is what happened to her. But the what caused it was her really toxic relationship with her mother all of her life to that day. This was like 2 weeks before Mother's Day. And when I came out of the session, I sat down, I waited for her to come, and she sat and we talked about this. And she said, "Did you see anything?" And I said, "Well, I did." And I said, "A lot of it has to do with your mother and the toxic energy." I said, "How is your relationship with her?" And she goes, "It's horrible." And she goes, "I just made plans to have Mother's Day dinner with her in 2 weeks." And I looked at her and I said, "If you don't make these changes that I'm suggesting, you will die." I said, "So your life depends on this." I said, "Cancel your Mother's Day plans. You need to push her and your stepmother out of your life. It might not have to be forever, but it's until you're better." I said, "Because you cannot be in their energy." She did it. She called me up or texted me that day and she said, "I did it." And I'm like, "What did you do?" And she told me.
Wow.
1 month later, she got a CAT scan or a PET scan. And she told me that the tumor had shrunk to 1/5 of the size that it was a month before.
Oh my goodness.
So, and it was about that toxic relationship. I'm not saying I healed her. She needed to hear this. She needed to know this information.
Absolutely.
And so everything that you're saying, I totally resonate with because I believe that. I feel it. I see it.
The energy of the heart. She had a broken heart.
Yes. And it's not about like your relationship with your family. And you know what? That's all stuff. We can push that away. Because at the end of the day, when you go, you're not taking them with you anyway. Just because they're your family doesn't mean they're good people.
It doesn't mean we come from the same place either.
Right. And it's about teaching them about recognizing, like you said, that vibration you feel off of somebody. And if it's not good, you walk away. The past 18 months, you probably have already know this. It's been about purging. We don't even have to do anything. It's the universe's way of purging these people and these situations and all of these issues out of our life so that we can move on, we can raise our vibration, and we can do much better work. So everything you just said is spot on.
Oh, thank you. The way I like to phrase it is that which no longer serves you, you want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
That which no longer serves you. And that's not selfish.
No.
Okay. I consider myself a very selfless person, and I know you are too. People like us who are like us, we give of ourselves.
Right.
And so when you say, you know what, this no longer serves me, it's you taking control of your life. It's you taking control of your destiny and your energy, because there are those in our lives that sap our energies.
Right.
So you want to preserve that. It's very important. And your viewers and listeners should also, and I touched upon this a little bit earlier, but you and I talked about it before we hopped on here today. in general, our society needs to realize right now. The truth movement, if someone's speaking stark truth to you or things that you've never even considered, but that kind of makes sense, like, oh, that's really far out there, or maybe he's a conspiracy theorist or they're a conspiracy theorist, but they're also spiritual. So how are they talking that way? Well, guess what? There's a reason. It's because of the time that we're living in right now. Things are coming together. Truth and spirituality are marrying. Do not shun someone trying to speak the truth. It may be their truth. Maybe it's not yours yet. And as I said earlier, maybe you're not ready to hear some of those aspects of that truth because it may be an inconvenient truth, a shock to your perception. People don't want to welcome shocks to their perception. Stop it. Because when you block that shock to your perception, you're blocking your own growth and awakening. Awakening. I don't mean woke. I mean awakened. There's a difference. And I say that with passion because I care and I see it. I see it happening. Stop shunning the people trying to tell the truth who are being labeled conspiracy theorists. I'm going to blow the lid off that phrase right now. That phrase, conspiracy theorist, was designed, implemented, and weaponized in the 1950s and 60s under J. Edgar Hoover. Why? Anyone who was trying to uncover the truth of the JFK assassination and people who were trying to spread the truth about Area 51, call them conspiracy theorists. Character assassinate them. What's the one weapon that, since people are very impressionable and they automatically react to something they'll hear en masse, what's the one way you destroy somebody trying to tell the truth that you don't want out? Call them names. Call them names. So people will be like, oh, I don't want to be associated with that. I don't want, and it's this.
Right.
Instead of this, say, hold on, what do they have to say? I want to hear what they have to say. And then that's, if you say, I want to hear what they have to say, that's you wanting to think for yourself. And then you examine it and you do your research and you come to your own truth, not what somebody tells you is your truth.
Right.
And guess what? The big boomerang on that story is back around, I was either the late 90s or early thousands, after they villainized and called everyone a whack job who said Area 51 was real. They said, oh, no, it's not. You're nuts. U.S. Air Force comes out. It was on CNN of all places. U.S. Air Force admits Area 51 is real. They character assassinated people in neighborhoods.
Yeah.
People would look at them and say, oh, they're weird. They think like Martians exist or UFOs or energy stuff. Well, guess what? The joke was on us because Area 51 is real. U.S. Air Force admitted it. And guess what else? We don't know everything that is to be about the JFK assassination. I think that's a foregone conclusion now. So that's just a lesson for people at home to understand that phrase, conspiracy theorist, the Mockingbird media, who are told to say everything in unison across the country.
Yep.
All are using that phrase. All of them. Whenever you hear they're a conspiracy theorist, they're a conspiracy theorist, they're a conspiracy theorist, they're a conspiracy theorist, you're hearing it ad nauseum. I'm like, how are people not waking up to the fact that they want you to just discount what everyone else is saying and just listen to them? They're the only ones that know about life. No, they don't.
Because they shame you. They shame people.
They shame people. That's right.
That's what they do.
That's
They
right.
shame people.
So embrace truth, embrace spirituality, because we're spiritual creatures. And as you said earlier, it was beautiful. It's not about religion. Religion divides us into categories. It all is born out of spirit, our souls, our spirit, hence spirituality.
Right.
Okay. So re-examine your influences in your daily lives. And I dare you all at home, and I challenge you to count the number of messages you get from mainstream media throughout an entire day in your lives. How many TV commercials? How many radio commercials? What are they saying in certain TV shows?
Yeah.
What is in maybe an advertisement in a magazine that you read? How many times are you being bombarded with suggestions on how you should think because they say so? And how much of it is born out of your own truth? Our true peace is within, it's not without. And one of my favorite quotes, it's what you cannot see in unseen space that is more powerful than what you can. If we keep on going on this trajectory and we allow artificial intelligence, virtual reality, AI to overtake our lives, we will lose our humanity. And you will have our children locked in this simulated world with the headset on, and they will become so immersed in that they'll think that's their truth.
Right.
And we will stop using our senses, our human senses. Some of them will actually die off because we're not using them anymore. We're already starting to see that. The intuition that you and I spoke about earlier, about sensing whether someone is worthy or of good energy or bad energy. If it's a car salesman, do I want to be with them, be around them? If it's a relationship, some of that will start to erode too. If we let our children be taken over by technology. I've always believed, and I saw this like 6, 7, or 8 years ago. Maybe it's a hope, but I'm actually wondering if technology needs to be shut down completely so we can return to ourselves and then restart it. And people will realize how much it took their humanity away, how much it took relationships with each other away. This is a human world. Don't let them take that away and replace that with things like meta, like virtual reality. Yeah, and implants, those chip implants. That's not a conspiracy theory.
No, it's not.
They're doing it. People are already accepting them as like a test.
And they're happily doing it.
They're out of their minds. They're out of their minds. You know, I don't understand. We are beautiful as we are. We're beautiful as we are.
Right.
We don't need any updates.
No,
okay?
But they think we do because they're trying to take our free will away.
Right.
That's the goal.
That's it right there. That's it. You're absolutely right. That's it right there.
Yeah, and people need to learn to say no. That no, I am empowering myself to take my strength back, take my life back.
So like a little action to-do list, because I think it's important to align into action. Like, okay, what can we do about this? You get more involved. You get more involved in your community, get more involved in your society. Say no to overt controls, which is controls from every direction.
Right. Come an activist.
Yeah, in your own way. And you know what? I don't even like to use the word activist, only because it shouts like conflict. It's you being a human, standing up for your own human freedoms and your human rights. There's something called universal law, sovereign law, common law. Our ability to journey or travel should never be inhibited under universal law. We as humans were put on this planet not to suffer, to thrive, to love, to live, to grow, to explore. Don't ever forget that, ever. Don't ever, ever let people take your power away, or entities take your power away, or corporations, which is what we're seeing now. It's corporate law. A lot of this, what we're seeing in our society today, it's fueled by corporations. Know it. Look no further than those lockdowns. They kept liquor stores open. They
Yeah.
kept Home Depots open. They kept the big department stores open. But they wanted us sick or relapsed into addiction, staying at home. I promise you, we haven't seen those numbers yet, but I promise you, more people died from the lockdowns than we realize.
Right. Then from COVID.
Then from COVID too. And they relapsed into addiction. They committed suicide. Very sad. Very sad. Why? People at home start asking why. When you, every time it's like instinctual, I'm going to pick up my phone, I'm going to go here. Do it maybe like 20% less. Get up and talk to somebody. Talk to somebody.
Right. Engage.
Students walk into rooms now. They don't even say, hi, how are you? People walk into rooms anymore. You don't say, hi, how are you? Why? Don't let us lose our humanity, our innate human spirit. I believe in God. I believe God gave us, whether it be a supreme being, an energy, you can call it whatever works for you. Yahweh, Allah, David, whatever you want to believe in, whatever works for you in your life. But there's so much more than what we've been told we are. I promise you. To finish on something that you said earlier when you were sharing a story about one of your clients who had something, the tumor. So I had this one client who was getting hives and severe headaches. And I'm saying this because a lot of people may take this one additive and not realize it. They were getting severe headaches. They were waking up at odd hours of the night. They were getting hives. I didn't even have to do an energy healing session on them. I just asked, I said, what's in your diet? Are you taking any artificial sweeteners? They said, yes. I take a Splenda in my coffee. And I also have this sugar-free cranberry juice I drink that has like NutraSweet or Splenda or aspartame in it. Mm-hmm. I said, okay, you just said it. You said aspartame and Splenda. I said, you cut those two things out. This has been happening for how long? They said, about 6 months. And I said, you've been to doctors? They said, yes. They don't know what it is. I said, it's your diet.
Right.
I said, cut out the juice. Stop putting Splenda in your coffee. Watch what happens. I said, call me in 3 days and let me know how you are. She calls me in 3 days. Everything stopped.
Of course.
Within 24 hours. Once everything left her system.
Yep. She purged it out.
Everything was gone. But that's how bad things like aspartame are. Splenda was made by a pharmaceutical company, McNeil Pharmaceuticals, who renamed themselves McNeil Nutraceuticals. Allegedly, Splenda can cause things like hip dysplasias because it's not natural.
Right.
You're better off drinking something with pure cane sugar in it. Coconut sugar.
Yeah.
Honey. I put honey in my coffee now. I realize there are diabetics and they might not be able to do that, but there are other things. So pay attention to what you're experiencing in your health. Look at the big picture. Consider the messages you're being bombarded with. You can begin to clean up your entire being and be more energetic, more open, more healthy very, very quickly.
You said something that I talk to my clients about this a lot because I think it's important, but the reason I'm doing this podcast is this information that I got was channeled, right? And it was about starting the podcast, help people awaken. And they literally showed me buffalo going to the edge of a cliff and how we were supposed to be pulling them back. So that was significant of human beings we're at the edge, and you said, if we don't pull ourselves back, we're going to lose our humanity. That was one thing. And the second part of that was teaching people, empowering them with the information about, what, we can't trust what the media is telling us. We can't trust what we buy in the grocery store. We can't trust what's in our food supply. So it's about learning to go back to basics, shutting down your computer, learning how to garden, learning how to grow your own food, learning how to just go back to basics like they did in the 1600s, right? They grew their own food. There was no aspartame. There was no Coca-Cola. There was none of that. People didn't have the disease that they have now. They didn't have any of that. So not only is it our thoughts and our words and how we feel about things, but it's also what we've allowed in our bodies. And absolutely. Some people believe blindly that, the CDC and, the food suppliers will never do that to us. I want them to think again, because they would absolutely do that to us, because, it keeps us sick. It keeps us in fear, and it keeps our vibration low. So we need to empower them to think for themselves. And if you don't believe me, experiment with it. I give them 4 months. I said, do this for 4 months. You come back to me in 4 months and tell me how you feel.
Do you know one pharmaceutical company that makes money off healthy people?
Which one?
What is there a pharmaceutical company? Is there a pharmaceutical company that makes money off of healthy people?
That was a rhetorical question.
I know it. I know. That's what I mean. I know. I mean, we're totally on the same page. But you mentioned it. It's just pharmaceutical companies make money off death and sickness. Prove me wrong.
No, they do.
If you can prove me wrong, that means our world is turning around. Because if you find me a pharmaceutical company that does not make money off death and sickness, that means they're doing the right thing, which I'm not sure from their perspective, they wouldn't make as much money, and they would not be in the New York Stock Exchange. No one would buy their stock either.
Right. Making billions of dollars.
Yeah. The stuff that really makes us healthy, by and large, usually doesn't cost anything.
It's in here, and it's what we put in our mouths.
And what's fascinating too? I'm going to bring up something rather controversial. Quinine. Quinine is a tree. The quin and hydroxychloroquine. People were hopping all over that, right?
Yeah. It's
natural. The quin is like quinine in tonic water. Yes. It's the quinine tree. So, when I heard that, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna try that. It's been around for 60 years. Suddenly it's bad. 60 years. It was in every traveler's travel kit. Why did they say, don't you take that? People are getting sick. Show me the sick people.
Because they didn't want you to get better.
I didn't see one. Well, here's the interesting part. If hydroxychloroquine worked, the vaccines would not have been able to come out, because by law, you cannot bring out a vaccine if you already have a proven drug that treats the given issue. So under emergency use authorization, it would never have been able to come out. None of the vaccines would have been able to come out if hydroxychloroquine worked. So they immediately vilified hydroxychloroquine and attacked. Yeah. So, yeah.
We'll have to definitely continue this discussion, because
I'd like to ask you sometimes some questions about your intuitive abilities and your experiences. You let me talk a lot today, and
it was interesting. You can ask me anything you want, Neal.
Well, no, I have a feeling we were on the same page on everything anyway, so I just kind of went with it. But no, I'd like to know some of the stuff that you see,
Sure.
in your clients in the future. And I'm always fascinated by the future. I've had many dreams about the past, in my sleeping state. But I
would love to discuss that with you.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Millions of stories.
Really?
Oh, yes.
That's a lot of shows, a million, That's a lot of shows.
Maybe it's a little Italian exaggeration.
That's good.
10,000.
That's good. That's excellent. I love it.
Love it. Anyway, this show is out of time, and I just want to thank you so much for being here. If
My
people
pleasure.
want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
They can send me an email at quantumtreatment@aol.com. QUANT is in Tom, UN, quantum treatment, TREATMENT, quantumtreatment@aol.com.
And what about your books? How can they purchase your
Go
books?
to- They can go to Amazon. I think I have. This is
And
the age of.
I'll put some up on the page after, but if
Okay,
you want to
yeah,
talk
that's
about
fine. They can go to Amazon, type in my name, and they'll see my books there. The last book I wrote was a short book for grief and grieving for children. So
wow.
yeah,
Okay. Well,
everything's on Amazon and a few other venues too. Yeah.
don't hang up yet. But thank you everyone for being here today. And I will definitely be having Neal back. So thank you,
Thank you.
Neal.
My pleasure.